This is the Early Line on a Tuesday morning edition right here on the SportsGrid Network. Donnie writes out along with Joe Ranieri. Let's bring in our good friend here and a friend of the show, Pete Jensen. Pete, good to have you back on, man. How's it been?
Everything's been good, guys. Yeah, we're in the golden age of young superstars in the NHL. I mean, even since we last talked, look at how some of these guys have catapulted between Celebrini, Connor Bedard, Matthew Schaefer. The Anaheim Ducks look like not only a playoff contender, but a division title contender in the same division as Vegas and Edmonton. So that definitely has opened some eyes. And just in general, I feel like there's a real youth movement going on. These guys aren't just competing, they're dominating. It's crazy.
Yeah, I'll tell you, and it's a shame that we have Pete on the night after the Flyers got dominated by the Pittsburgh Penguins, because we'd spend probably a good segment here talking about the Flyers and how they look this year. Not so great last night, but Pete, let's look at the Stanley Cup odds right now. There's a team floating out there that has one regulation loss this season. That's the Avalanche. Plus 400 to plus 390 price points, depending on where you're shopping. Pete, tell me about the Colorado Avalanche and how they have this magnificent record.
So it's very early. We're not even 2 months into the season, just past the quarter mark. My preseason pick was Colorado over Carolina. I have some concerns about Carolina offensively and the scoring depth, but certainly Colorado is living up to high expectations and even exceeding them. They're leading the league in goals per game. They're also averaging the fewest goals allowed per game. And that's what's really changed things. You look back this time last year, they had two different goalies. And now they have Scott Wedgwood, who's performing at an elite level, and Mackenzie Blackwood, who missed the start of the season because of an injury, but he's been hot as well. This team is, limiting high danger shots against. They're saving them when they come by. It's been very impressive. They also have 12 different skaters with double-digit points already, including some guys on the second and third line, second and third defense pair. And then, oh, by the way, NHL scoring leader Nathan MacKinnon still leading the charge, and defenseman scoring leader Cale Makar. So you have a combination of everything going right now for Colorado.
Well, let's talk about a team that's not going well for, but yet the market still love them, and that's the Edmonton Oilers, who have, 10 wins, and I think only 5 of them come in regulation. They can't stop anybody. Everybody scores on them. What's the deal with Edmonton?
Yeah, they kind of did this last year, remember? And then they flipped the switch in the playoffs. They were not going into the playoffs on a high note at all. The year before that, I think they made the coaching change. So this has kind of been a recurring trend in the regular season with the Edmonton Oilers, despite them being led by superstars Connor McDavid and Leon Draisaitl. Even their best defenseman, Evan Bouchard, is prone to a lot of defensive lapses. They've had some injuries. Jake Wallman, now Jack Roslovic, who actually has been their best off-season mover by far, has been one of the top 5 off-season movers in scoring, but he's banged up. Nugent Hopkins just came back from injury. So combination of lack of secondary scoring depth and then also some injuries. And then the goaltending, by the way, with Skinner and Pickard is dead last in team save percentage. So they may need to make a move. It's interesting. Even Anaheim right now, who I mentioned as a big surprise, they have 2 goalie injuries. They still have Ville Husso, who won on Monday night. And Vegas has been down to their second string, third string goaltender because of injuries. They signed Carter Hart, who could debut as early as Tuesday. So they're getting some help in the goaltending net as early as this week. So these other teams near the top of the Pacific are preparing themselves for the rigorous road and having goaltending depth, whereas Edmonton's sticking with that same tandem and not looking very good at all. I'm looking for Edmonton to having to prioritize their goaltending before the trade deadline here.
Love talking some hockey here with Pete Jensen. If we look at the Calder Cup, which is the Rookie of the Year, it seems to be a 2-man race right now. The Islanders' Matthew Schaefer and the Canadiens' Ivan Demidov. If you look at those two players and the projection for the rest of the season, who gets the edge for you, or could it be somebody else?
It could be somebody else. The somebody else might be one of those goaltenders, Jesper Wallstedt, who has 3 shutouts this year. He's coming on strong. And that's probably the second best goalie tandem in the NHL for Minnesota, with Wallstedt and Gustafsson. If Gustafsson either falters or deals with injury, I mean, this guy is a stud. We've been talking about him for years. Even Yaroslav Askarov, we've been talking about him as a goalie prospect for many years. He was in Nashville at first, got traded last year to San Jose, and now he's part of that young core out in San Jose with Celebrini, with Will Smith and company, and San Jose is probably the most improved team in the league. What Schaefer is doing is ridiculous. I would still call him the clear front runner right now, and he is among not only the rookie leaders, but all the defenseman leaders in some key categories like goals, power play points, points outright. I mean, edge stats, he's up there among the defenseman leaders in this 20-plus mile-per-hour speed bursts and hardest shot and all these different categories. It's almost like this guy's a 25-year-old defenseman entering his prime. That's what he's doing statistically with his workload, and he's also turned around the Islanders in the standings. They're on the cusp of playoff position, and one of the biggest stories of the year because of Matthew Schaefer. But don't, overlook those two sleepers I mentioned, Jesper Wallstedt and Yaroslav Askarov.
Got to ask you about my Panthers taking on Toronto here tonight there, Pete. But Toronto, no Mitch Marner, and it has not been a good transition here. We know the injuries for the Panthers. What do we think we get tonight here?
Yeah, Florida's, I'm not concerned about Florida. I think they still might be the best team in the Eastern Conference when push comes to shove come postseason time, as long as they're remotely healthy. They have not had Barkov all year. He's done for the year, but Matthew Tkachuk will be coming back soon. So that's good for sure. I'm looking at two guys on Florida who have extremely low shooting percentages with 50-plus shots on goal. Carter Verhaeghe, facing his former team from many moons ago here. He's only shooting 7%. And Maki Samoskevich, third lowest in the NHL among those parameters at 5.9%. So these are guys that have been knocking on the door. I think they're going to eventually bounce back. And then for Toronto, just look at their defensemen scoring this year. Morgan Riley and Oliver Ekman-Larsson, a bit of injury concern with OEL, but these guys are both over 20 points on the season. Only Toronto and Washington have two guys with 20-plus points on D.
Pete Jensen, we love him. NHL.com. Make sure you give him a follow, Pete. We'll talk to you soon. Thanks for joining us this morning on The Early Line.